So today we'll start the new topic, that is your JDBC, which is nothing but Java database connectivity, right? So what exactly Java database connectivity and why it is required? Now if you try to see what is the need of Java, it's a programming language used for development purpose. Okay, mainly it is used for development purpose. Okay. So it has other development or application, whether it is web application or standalone application or mobile application, any kind of application you are using. Now database. Now what do you mean by database? So mainly, if you try to see in the present scenario, whatever the data we are trying to store in database. So everyone knows the need of database. Okay. So mainly, it has been developed for storing the data, and the advantage is you can easily access all those data, right? Okay. Now you are developing application using Java, and the data is available in database. So obviously what you have to do is you are supposed to, like, your program should get those data. Okay, initially whatever we are practicing, we are using scanf, we are trying to enter the data, we are testing something, fine. But in project perspective, if you try to see, the data are stored in database. So you have to retrieve those data and you have to get that data in your program. Got the point? Okay. And this JDBC is one API, that means a collection of classes and interfaces, which facilitate you that your application, the Java application, can interact with the database. Got the point? Okay. So this is the main objective of database. So there are some history and theory. So initially I am not going for all these detail. We can discuss later, but I am directly jumping how you are going to write the program. Then after we are going to go back and study the history and all those things, right? So if you try to see the process or the steps for JDBC. So initial state is connection. You have to get a connection. Okay. For getting a connection, you have to register a driver. So now, what do you mean by driver? So driver is something which is going to help you to connect with the database. Okay. So somewhat like you can mark over here, there are 4 different kind of drivers are available in Java. So in JDBC, one is mainly it is commonly known as type 1, type 2, type 3, type 4. Okay. And the type 4, the native protocol pure Java API driver. So this is the one which is used everywhere. Okay. So it is nothing but predefined Java classes you are supposed to download and you have to keep with your application. Got the point? Okay. Something like collection API. Now collection API is already available with JDK, right? So similarly, any extra thing, any extra classes or interfaces which are not included, you have to include it first in your application. Then you are going to use that one. Get the point? So here the point is we are going to use the type 4 driver. The demo I am going to show you today is using type 4 driver. Okay, that is known as native protocol pure Java API driver. But the objective of driver is, this is the one which is going to connect with the database, help you to connect with the database. That is the main objective of type 4 driver. Got the point? Okay. So now if you try to see the first step, you have to get the connection. For getting the connection, what you need to do is you have to load the driver or register the driver. So there is 2 approach. You can load the driver, you can register the driver. Okay. So mostly in application, if you try to see, people load the driver. Okay, so while you are loading the driver, you have to write some code. Okay, that is class.forName, and whenever you are registering, you are supposed to write driver manager.register driver. So something like that, the things are there. So you have to do any of two, both will work. Okay, but most commonly you will see that you are going to load the driver. Okay, next is you have to create the connection. So from that driver, using that driver, you are getting the connection. So what is the connection? Connection is nothing but a pathway. Okay, you can think like a path, a road. It's just constructing a road between your application and your database. Got the point? Okay, so that is your connection. Next is in database, while you are retrieving the data or while you are inserting, updating, deleting your data, what exactly you do? What do you use? SQL query. Correct? You are using SQL query. You are sending a request. Select star from this table. Where some condition. If you are inserting, what you are writing? Insert into table name. Within bracket column name. Values. Then corresponding value for those column you have mentioned, you are mentioning. So you are sending the query which you want to execute in the database. That is the thing you are providing. So same thing, if it is the Java program, so your database required SQL query. So you are supposed to send that query through the Java program. Yes, because the JDBC required, the database required the SQL query. Okay, what instruction you want to execute, that has to be available with database. Then only it can process. So that is the same thing you are going to do in your program. So for that, what you require is, you require a statement. So statement is something which will carry your SQL query to the database. Then the database will process that particular stuff and give you some result. Okay, that result may be an integer value. That result may be a result set. Correct? When it is integer value, it will be an integer value if you are doing data manipulation language, DML. For example, insert, update, delete, those kind of operation you are trying to do. It is trying to show that how many rows are affected. So that will be a number. But if it is a select statement, then you are getting a result set of data. Right? Now, if it is a set of data, you need to identify individual record, because in that particular result set, multiple records are available. In each record, multiple values are there. Like you are writing select star from student, and the student table having, suppose column registration number, name, mobile number, your mark, okay, CGPA or something you are storing. Now while you are retrieving, what you are getting? You are getting at the top something like your registration number, okay, then your name, then your mobile number, CGPA. Then each row having some value. Mr. X having this number, this value. Mr. Y having this number, that value. Okay, Miss Z having this number, this value, CGPA. So like this. So individual is a one data in a single record, and you have a multiple records. So that is nothing but your result set. Okay. So the statement is responsible for sending the query. So you are creating the query and calling for execution. The moment you are calling for execution, you are getting a result set, or maybe a integer value. If it is a result set, you have to process that result set. Okay, you have to process that result set. Individually you have to reach and you have to get, because whatever you are retrieving, it is not directly converted into Java. You have to convert into Java object. Are you getting my point? In your program, you have to write the code to convert the thing into Java object. Okay? After that particular thing, then you can use it. So after this, what you need to do is you have to close the result set, you have to close the statement, you have to close the connection, because all are external resources, right? As I told you, like the scanner is a outside resource. After the use, scanner.close. So similarly, this is a external resource. After the use, you have to close that particular thing. Okay, so these are the basic steps you have to follow. Getting a connection for query, getting a statement for result, getting a result set, then you have to close everything. Got the point? Right? Now, if you try to see what exactly the line of code you are going to use, okay, each first thing is loading of the driver or registering the driver. So this is an example of loading of driver. What has been written? Class.format. Here class is not a class as concept. Here the class is a class which is available in java.lang package. And the for name is used to load that particular, whatever the class name you are mentioning over here, it is going to load in the system, in your application. Okay? Now, similarly, you need to get the connection object. So for that, you are supposed to use driver manager. It's a class. Okay? It's a class. So driver manager dot get connection. Get connection is a static method. How do you know it is a static method? Because we are not creating object. We are directly calling through the class name. So it must be a static method. And you are supposed to provide the arguments. One is the connection URL. So URL stand for what? Unified Uniform Resource Locator. That means where that particular, whatever the services, whatever the things you are looking for, what is the location? Through what you are going to access that particular thing. So if it is a different system, that system IP address and on which particular port it is running, that information you should have. Then only you can reach to that particular machine. If it is in your system, you are mentioning localhost. That means your system. Or 127.0.0.1, that is the default IP address you can also use. Mostly we use localhost. Got the point? Okay. Then obviously you reach to that particular system, but how you are going to enter into your database? How you are going to enter into your database? Any idea? Okay, so that is how you are going to communicate with database. First of all, you have to enter. So how you are entering to database? When you are logging to database, how you are means entering to the database? First of all, you have to provide the user ID and password. Okay, whether you are using command prompt or you are using Workbench. Somewhat like everyone is using MySQL. So if you are using Workbench also, initially first you are giving the user ID and password. If it is correct, you are able to access the database. So you are providing user ID and password. Right? So this one is the location. This one is the for accessing the database, user ID and password. Right? Next is after getting the connection, through the connection you are going to create the statement. Okay? So basically the job of statement is it will carry the SQL statement to the database. Okay? So here you are execute query. That means you are sending the query to the database for processing. So after processing, it will get back to you and give you result set. So though here it is select statement, you are getting the result set. Here if you use insert, so obviously you are going to change this method. So this method will be changed to execute update. Another method is there, execute update. Okay, and the return type obviously is going to change, it will be integer. Got the point? Then though it is a result set, you have to process that result set. So rs.next. What is next? Next means, is there any next row available? Is there any next row available? So that is what it is trying to check. Okay. So initially, like the cursor is at the top. Then it will check, is there any further record? Is there any further record? Is there any further record? So for that, rs.next. Okay. So if there is no further record available in the result set, it will return false. The moment it is false, it will come out from the loop. Now if there is any record, so obviously from the record, either some record will be integer kind, maybe it will be a string, maybe it will be a float, maybe it will be a date, maybe it will be a byte. Okay, it can be something. So depending upon your database, what is the database column data type, you have to use that kind of thing. If it is varchar 2 over there, here it has to be string. If it is integer over there, you have to use integer or long. Depend upon what is the size, what is the range. Got the point? So there you are going to store in the variable or in the object. Either it can be an object or it can be a variable. After that, whatever the way you want to use the object or the value, you can use it. Like you want to display, fine, you can display. So initially I am going to show you how you are going to display. But in project, it will be like MVC architecture. Model view controller. Then your data access layer. So the object will be at the data access layer. It will connect with the service layer. Then the service layer will provide to the controller. Then controller will provide to the view for display purpose. Okay? Right? So you need that particular thing. Got the point? So this is the basic architecture, means basic code snippets you are going to use in JDBC program. Got the point? Okay? This is a small example. Okay? And this particular example is on type 1 driver. Okay? But I'll show you on the base of type 4 driver. Right? So we can directly jump into the programming. Okay? So you can use any ID. Okay? Mostly I use STS. Okay? Spring Tool Suite. You can use Eclipse, and STS is nothing but a version of Eclipse. Right? You can use also VS Code or NetBeans or any ID. Right? Which supports Java, you can use. There is no restriction. But only thing will be the ID interface, how you are going to use it. Okay? For writing perspective, all are same. Okay? You are not going to write any extra thing. Okay? The same code you are going to use, but ID interface will be different. Got the point? Okay? For me, I am going to use the STS. It's your choice. Whatever the ID you are comfortable, you can use. For that, you just need to know where you are supposed to integrate those external files and all. That you have to explore only. Got the point? Okay? So first thing is, in case of type 4 driver, okay? So what you need to do is, you need to download the jar file. Okay, so basically I have already one JDBC program kind of thing. So I have already downloaded my jar file which is available with me. I'm just going to connect it. But for you people, it's not available with you. You are supposed to download that particular file. Right? Now, where you can get all those files is you can simply search for JDBC driver. Okay, for my SQL. Okay, if you start searching, okay, the best place is not the official website. Okay, the best place is NBM repository, Maven repository. Okay, right, NBM repository or Maven repository. If you try to, or at the time of searching also you can mention Maven repository JDBC driver. If you try to connect, then it will give you this, bring you to this particular place. Okay, and you can mark it has different kind of versions of MySQL. Okay, now question is which version you are going to use it. So for that, obviously you are supposed to check your MySQL version. Okay, so if you are using like Workbench, so you can go to your Workbench. So here I am talking about user ID and password. Okay, so entering into the database, you require to provide the user ID and password. Okay, now if you try to see my server status and all, so this is running, the port number is 3306. Okay, you need all those information, right? You need all those information, right? Okay, and here you can see the version 8.0.40. So this is the version of MySQL I am using in my system. Now you can check your version and you can use it. Okay, right? So over here you can mark in my ID I am using 8.30, but my database is 8.40. So still it is going to work. Okay, but if you try to use 6 point, then it may not work. Okay, so if it is nearby anything, also it is going to work. Okay, so simple thing is go to your this particular thing. Okay, so here you can click over here 8.0.30. Now you can get a jar option over here, this option, right? You just click this particular thing and it will download in your system. Got the point? So I have already downloaded, right? Got the point? Is it clear? Now you can mark over here, this is already I have written one program. And this is the way you are going to write the program. Okay, very simple, right? Very easy, very effective, very simple. Okay, this is for saving, this is for retrieving of record, all student record. Okay, and this is for retrieving individual student. So likewise you can write for in update and delete. Okay, and this is somewhat you can see loading of the driver and getting the connection, and this is the URL pattern kind of thing you are going to use, right? URL pattern. So that is your JDBC :MySQL / localhost 3306. So port number along with your schema name. What is the schema you are going to use? That you have to also provide. Got the point? And the user ID and password for your database. Got the point? So exactly the same way I am going to write from the scratch a new project for you. What exactly you are going to do from the scratch? Okay, first thing I have shown you, you have to download that jar file. That is the first thing you have to do. Okay, now if you are using MySQL, that is the process. If you are using Oracle, that will be again Oracle connectivity jar file you have to download. If you are using DB2 jar file you have to download. So depending upon the version, the jar file will be different. That you have to download. Make sure you have to remember this, right? So after downloading, what is the first step? You have to create the project. So now we are not creating any web application, we are using standalone application. Okay, and mainly in this particular class I am going to show you how to create project or how to means database connectivity using command line. Okay, the terminal, right? So what you have to do is you are simply go for this one. Okay, because you can find lot of different options are there. Okay, so here you will find Java project. So you have to choose the Java project. Okay, got the point? Different using STS you can develop different kind of application. So your option is Java project. Got the point? That is the first thing you have to do. So how you are getting this wizard? For getting this wizard, what you need to do is either you can go for file, new, okay, and you may find some option directly over here. Okay, so basically if you change the perspective, okay, I have different perspective. So if I choose the Java perspective, now if you go for file, new, then directly you are getting with the new the Java project. My perspective was different. It was Java EE. So that's why the web-based Maven, those kind of thing was displayed initially. Okay. So anyway, either from here you can choose, or you have a Project Explorer. On Project Explorer you can right click, go to new, go to Java. Any option you are choosing, that is correct. Then you are getting this particular wizard. Okay. Now here what you need to do, what is the project name you are providing, right? So project name you have to provide. So what is the project name? Any random name we can give. Okay. So employee management system. Okay, so that means I am going to show you a use case where that is a employee table, right? And in the employee table, how you are going to insert data, how you are going to retrieve data, delete data, update data. Okay, so I am just giving the name as employee management system, right? Now from here it will directly choose what kind of Java version your system have. Okay, that will detect that one. Next, no need to change anything. Okay, yeah, one more thing, you just remove this create module info.java. Okay, you can use this, but initially you can ignore this particular thing. Okay, right? Just unclick this particular thing. Go to next and lastly you can finish. So you can mark, it just creates one project for you. Okay, what is the next part? Try to keep one folder. Maybe here you are using JDBC, maybe some in your project some more external API you are going to use. Okay, so for all those things you can create one folder. Okay, you can use source folder or you can use folder. Okay, so you can name it as SRC. A source folder means you can give out LIB, library. Okay, that means this is the location where you are going to store all your jar files, external jar files. You can keep over here, right? So finish, and I can copy this MySQL jar file and paste inside this. Is it clear? You have downloaded, correct? So that means that jar file will be available in download folder. Copy that particular thing, paste in LIB folder. Just note down the steps or just follow the step what I am doing. Okay, refer the video and try to follow the same step. Any issue, any problem, directly ping me, directly call me, whatever the way you want, or if you want you can contact other faculties as well, right? Now what is the next part? The next part is your writing of programs. Okay, now you can mark in the SRC folder, source folder, it is empty, nothing is there. Okay, and mostly always try to practice on the base of like modular approach. Okay, like MVC architecture, those kind of things, keeping in mind, start doing the thing. So if I say, then the JDBC is a data access layer. So if it is a data access layer, try to create a different package for that. Okay, your main interaction will be different. That means the main function, whatever you are writing, that will be your view. Okay, that will be your view pages. When it will be a swing, the swing will be your user interface, right? And that will be data access layer, which is going to be separate one. Okay, got the point? So try to create one class. Okay, now in this particular class, what you are going to do is you are going to create the JDBC program, right? The JDBC program. Okay, so I am not mixing interface at this particular point, it will be more confusing. Okay, I am just directly using the class concept. Okay, later we will see how interface can be implemented, this particular thing, and how polymorphism is going to used in your application, right? So let us go for creating employee DAO. Okay, so DAO stands for data access object. Okay, so you will understand this is a data access object. Now this is a different package, so you can give it as .DAO. The package name I am giving as .DAO. So that will be a two different packages. Okay, one will be the main method, which is going to like doing some stuff. Okay, like a user interface kind of thing in the command line, and This will be a package which is keeping all your database related classes and interfaces. Right? Okay. Do you need main function? No, I don't need main function. This is not my main file. Okay. So this is just a class where the business logic for database connectivity will be there. Right? Now what next? The next part is your writing of JDBC program. Okay, just refer the PPT. These are the things you have to write in your program. And just for reference, here you can mark try catch is been used. Okay, when try catch is been used, when there is a unchecked exception. Checked exception. Okay. If it is a checked exception, it is not going to compile your program. So you have to handle it properly. So there it is going to give you what? You have to use the try catch block. Correct? Just remember the concept of exception handling what we have discussed. Right? Okay? Why this is the thing? Because this particular thing will throw one exception called file not found exception. This one is giving you SQL exception. This one, all others are generating SQL exception. So you are supposed to handle all those things. So you are going to use try catch. Okay? Got the point? Is it clear? So first thing is we are going to use this skeleton. Okay. Now first what do you want to do? Selection or insertion? Selection. Okay. So if it is selection, first thing is we are going to create the table. Okay. You can also write program which will automatically create the table. That's even possible. Okay, that's even possible. Right? But initially we are not going that detail. Just try to create by your own and try to access it. Okay? So what you have to do is, so maybe we can use test. Okay? Or if you want, you can create your own schema also. Choice is yours. Okay, and most of the cases whenever you are doing your project, best practice is create your own schema. Okay, how to create your own schema? Right click, create schema. Simple. If you are using terminal, then you are supposed to write this particular code, create schema, schema name. Got the point? Okay, so I am not creating extra schema, I am using the test. So in the table section, there is the option create table. Okay, what is the table I am using? I am using employee. Okay, so first column is emp underscore id, and for me this is not integer. I want to give varchar. Suppose just for my case, my employee ID is EMPBBS 0218. So it's a alphanumeric. So if it is a alphanumeric, which data type I have to use? Varchar 2. Correct? So varchar 2, you have to count what is the, according to the organization, you can verify what size of what should be the size of that particular column. Like for student ID, how many digits you have? 12 digits. Okay, that you have to think of, that you have to check with your client whenever you are developing the application. Okay, just think on a base of project only. Okay, so for me I am just taking randomly 10 digit, okay, 10 characters. Okay, and this is my primary key, as well as it has to be not null. Right? These are nothing but your constraint. In database, different constraints are there: unique key constraint, primary key constraint, foreign key constraint, check constraint. Okay, all these constraints are there. So these are the different constraints you can also provide. Okay. Next is name. Maybe this is fine, but this has to be not null. Okay. Maybe I can say mobile, right? And I can put as varchar of mobile. Obviously, it is 10 digit. I can bring to 10. Okay. So next I can give salary. Okay. And salary is basically which type? Okay. It's a integer kind. So I can put as IU. So likewise, whatever the column you want to define, you can define. Okay. What is your date of birth? What is your email ID? What is your all these detail, whatever you want to keep. Okay. When it is a project, so obviously you have to verify with your client that what are the columns you want to keep and all. So depending upon your use case, you have to design the table accordingly. Okay. So I'm just keeping these 4 as my column, right? So apply. So you can mark this is the thing it's creating automatically. Okay, if you are using terminal, you are supposed to write create table name. Okay, then within bracket column name, data type, size and constraint. So these are the things you are supposed to write, right? Apply and finish. Now you can mark my my table is already created. Now, is there any data present in the table? Okay, no data is present. So initially what we want like data retrieval. So I am just putting random EMP 0001. Okay. Similarly, name is Shiva, mobile number some random number, and salary maybe 50,000. Okay. Next is EMP 0002. Okay, and name is suppose Sita, some mobile number, and salary maybe 3 lakhs. Okay, so likewise you can add different value to your columns. Okay, and you can apply and you can see this is generating. Do not talk, please. If you have so important thing to talk, please get out, have your conversation, come back. Okay, so insert into employee, column names, values. So this is the thing I was talking about for insertion. So similarly, okay, finish. So this is done. Now your table is ready. Okay, and the table having these columns with these fields. Correct? Right? Okay. Again, come back to this particular point. So you are supposed to retrieve record. Do you want single value, like you are searching for a particular person, or you are retrieving all record? It can be two kind. Okay, it can be many kind also. So what is your requirement? So let's start with retrieve all records. Then we'll see we can modify the same code and we can use for retrieving single, how you can retrieve a single employee, like you are providing the employee ID and it is retrieving that portion record. That we will also do. Okay? Got the point? So, if that is the case, right? So, if that is the case, this is your result set. This is nothing but your result set, correct? Select star from table name. Yes or no? Select star from table name. This is the whole record you are getting. One record, two record. One record, two record. One record as a single object. Can you create? This is a single portion record. Yes or no? This is a record of Shiva. This is a record of Sita. That means the Shiva record and Sita record has to be a single object. Yes, no. Or it should be 4 different variables. Will it be 4 different variables or will it be a single object having 4 records, 4 datas? So it should be a single object having 4 datas or properties. How it is possible? Using model class. Using model class. So obvious thing is, here what you are going to write, you are supposed to define the method signature. So what should be the method signature? Public. It is multiple record. Just think about the collection. What is the use of collection? The use of collection is if you have multiple thing to store in a single, as a single entity, there you are going to use the collection or array. Yes or no? So here multiple records are there, multiple objects are there, right? So that means your return type, you are returning the value. So that is the thing I was trying to explain in the previous class. So if you have single one method can return one value. Suppose you have multiple value to return. What you are supposed to do? You are going to use array. Now that array is a single value, single object, single entity, or a collection is a single entity. So method can return that one, where inside that particular thing multiple things are there. Are you getting my point? So what should be your return type? Obviously array list, or you can mention list. What is list? It's a interface. What is array list? It's a class which belongs to list. Correct? Okay. Now list which is available inside java.util package. Okay. Now this is generic. So it is asking that what kind of record you are trying to store inside the list. So what kind of record you are trying to store? I am trying to store the employee record. So I am mentioning employee. If I am going to store the string kind of collection, so I should provide string. So what kind of record, what kind of value I am going to store in that particular list, that I have to provide over there. Okay. And what exactly the method name? Get all employee. So this is the thing. Correct? Okay. Now here I can write all my JDBC program. Before that, I need to create the model class, because I have to bind that particular thing. I have to use that particular thing. So when you are using that particular thing, obviously you need that particular class. Okay. So this is which type of class? The model type of class. Okay. So you can give the package name as model or entity or bean. Okay. Or pozo. All names are the same meaning. Okay. In different perspective they are being used, but the idea is same, right? And this particular thing is nothing but your class name is employee. Okay, finish. Now this particular, what are the property of this? What are the property of this class? What are the property? These are the property. What you are trying to store? You are trying to store employee ID. You are trying to store employee name. You are trying to store mobile salary of that particular employee. Yes. That means though these are the things has to be the property of this class. This is a reflection of your database. The model is the reflection of your database kind of thing. What you want to retrieve, how you are going to store, what you are going to store. So that is nothing but your model. Get the point? Okay. So which type of data type it is? Varchar. In Java, varchar means string. Okay. So private string emp id. Okay. So similarly, we can create rest of the string name, private string mobile, private int salary. Okay, right? So my properties are ready and all are private. Now if all are private, how I am going to enter the value? It is not accessible outside of the class. How I am going to insert value into those properties? Two options, constructor or getter setter. So I can go for getter setter. Okay, so there is an option of generating the getter setter. You do not need to write, just define the property and generate. So it will create all your getter setter methods. Okay, so your model class is ready, right? Okay, now the error has gone. Got the point? Okay, now you are going to, what you are going to write? Again, come back to your JDBC program. Okay, first thing is loading of driver, getting the connection, and most of the cases you will see this is the common line you are going to use for whether it is insertion, deletion, updation or whatever the thing. These two line is compulsory. Okay, at the time of creation of statement and all, the query may different, so that is different, but these two line is compulsory. Now if these two line are common for all methods, whatever n number of method, n number of classes, n number of method you are trying to use, this is common. Now if that is the case, what you can do, you can bring those two lines to outside, correct, so that you can use it wherever it's required. Okay, so I can give public, why? Because it has to be accessible to all. Now I can create this method as static so that you do not need to create the object of this class. Okay, so public static connection. Now connection, you will always, you can find connection, maybe some other places you will get the connection, but you have to choose java.sql connection. Okay, and give the method name get connection. Okay, so what are the two lines you are going to use? One is loading of driver, so that is nothing but your class dot for name. Okay, what is this one? The URL. What is the URL you are going to use? JDBC. You are doing the JDBC program. So JDBC colon MySQL, okay, colon, yes or no? Right? JDBC colon MySQL colon, next slash slash, next the IP address or the host name. So this is my own system, so I can use local host. Okay, next I have shown you that particular thing. JDBC colon MySQL colon slash slash localhost, next colon, okay, 3306, on which port you are running this particular thing. Next slash, next schema name. What is the schema? What is the schema? Test, because I have created that table in test, so mention test. What is the next argument? User ID and password. So for me it is root as username and password is also root. Okay, now you can see this is giving error. What is the error? The method for name, okay, boolean class loader, each the type of class which is applicable to argument string, this one, okay. Now what is the next one? Getting the connection. So I am going to return driver manager dot get connection, okay. Sorry, I have made a mistake. You have to mention this particular thing in connection, and here you have to provide the driver name. Sorry, okay, right? So you can mark it is giving me error. It is saying class not found exception. So how to handle? Either you can go for try catch or throws. So I am going to use throws because I am not going to handle over here. Rather, it will be handled by the one which is using this particular thing. Okay, so I am just throwing this particular throws keyword. Okay, just recall the exception handling class, the use of throws and throw keyword. Got the point? Now next is what I am going to write over here. Okay, so you can mark over here I have added the MySQL, but this is not been accessed by, this is not been used by my environment. For adding to environment, what you need to do is you need to go to this particular thing, right click on project, go to build path, okay, and configure build path. So here you can mark the jar file is not available, so you are supposed to add the jar file. Okay, so in the class path you can click on the class path, go to the jar, okay. Now expand this particular thing, go to liv, select this particular thing, okay, apply, and this one. Okay, now this has been linked, correct? So what you can do is just type driver and you will find lot of options are there. Which one you are going to use? This one you are going to use. Okay, so that is nothing but com.mysql.cj.jdbc.driver. So this is the name actually you are going to provide to this particular place. Okay, so this is for type 4 driver. Okay, so if you go back to your PPT, here it is a reference for you for type 1 driver. You can see son.jdbc.odbc.jdbc driver is the driver name for type 1 driver. Okay, so you are using this particular thing, right? Okay, and in case of type 4 driver and for MySQL, this is the thing you are going to write. Okay, now this is the here what you are going to use. Now you are going to write the rest other things. Okay, so you need a connection. So connection con equals to null. Okay, prepared statement st equals to null. I'm going to retrieve the value. So result set rs equals to null. Okay, why I'm going to declare all those local variables? Because I have to close all those things. So if I try to create the reference variable inside the try block, in the finally block, when I try to close it, it will be not accessible. So that's why I created it outside of the try block, so that the visibility will be also available to try, also available to catch, also available to finally block. Okay, so next is I can go for try block. Okay, and I can mention exception, or I can explicitly mention like SQL exception and class not found exception. These two, either you can use these two separate, or you can use exception, because exception is the parent of both the classes, so it can handle both the things, right? Okay, so the loading part and this part is over. So just get the connection. So con equals to employee dot get connection. Okay, so connection is, you got the connection. What is the next part? Get the statement object. Okay, so statement object equals to con dot prepared statement, and you are supposed to provide the SQL query over here. Okay, what is the SQL query? The SQL query is this one: select star from employee. Okay, I do not need to provide test because I have already used test, the schema name over here. So I don't need test. I simply need select star from employee. Okay, what is the next part? After this particular thing, I should go for calling it for execution. Okay, so that is your rs equals to st dot execute query. Okay, next is we have to retrieve. So while rs dot next. Okay, got the point? Now over here my objective is I'm going to return a list. Okay, I'm going to return a list. So I can create a list. So list employee equals to new array list. Okay, now what next? each time when I am creating the object, each time whenever I am retrieving the record, so I am going to get one employee data, and I am going to bind that particular data into an object. Okay, so what you have to do is you need employee object. So employee emp equals to new employee. Okay, and emp dot set employee ID. Now how I am going to get the employee ID? That rs dot get string. Okay, and what is the value I am going to provide? Is I am going to provide the value as this one, the column name. Okay, so that will be the value I am going to provide, the column name I am going to provide. So similarly for rest other thing, so employee dot set mobile number, rs dot get string. Okay, and here this is nothing but mobile. Employee dot set name. Okay, and this is nothing but rs dot get string, and the value is name. Employee dot set salary, which is an integer, so rs dot get integer. Okay, and this is nothing but salary. Okay, what next? After setting these things, you have to add that particular thing into your list. So list dot add employee. Okay, now if there is any exception, I just need to check what is the problem. So e dot print staff class. Next is I am supposed to close all these things. So the best place is the finally block. Okay, so here, so rs dot close st dot close connection dot close. Okay, and all these things are like generating the same exception, SQL exception, so you can put under the try catch again. Okay, now what next? The next is after finally block, you are supposed to return the list. Okay, return the list. Right? Now question is, if there is no data found, then you may or any exception generate. So if you want, you can create your custom exception class and you can generate that exception. Okay, that is the best practice. But initially I am not showing that particular thing. Okay, so I am just showing this way. Right? Got the point? Okay. Now let us use this particular thing in your main function. Now till now we have not created our main function, so let me create one class, right? And I can choose the base package for the main function class. Okay, and this is, I'm just writing program is my class name, and this require a main function. Finish. Okay, so here I am going to call that particular thing and going to retry. So here you can create a menu driven program kind of thing. Like in data structure you are trying to do you want to insert, do you want to traverse, do you want to delete, those kind of thing, operation. It is a continuous process. Similar kind of thing you can do for demonstrating this thing. Like you are creating, you are inserting, you are deleting, you are updating. So those kind of small application, small program you can write and you can check. Okay, but right now I am just writing 2-3 line of code just to check that whether we are able to retry the record properly or not. Okay, so what you can do is simply create the object of this employee DAO and try to print that particular thing and just check are you getting that value or not. Okay, so one more thing I can do, I can generate the toString method so that it will display all the value inside it. Okay, so employee DAO equals to new DAO. Okay, next is you just call for that selection method, okay, and print it. So sysout DAO dot get all employee. Okay, and let us check. Now if it is giving any error, then obviously we have to rectify. Now we can check all those records are been retried. Okay, employee 2 Sita, mobile number, salary, and this one is 1 Shiva and okay, this is for your retrieval of record. Okay, so now let us see, just like the selection, if you have a insertion operation, okay, then how you are going to do that particular thing, right? Now insert means I can say save. Okay, so while you are saving, what is the outcome? What should be the outcome? Whether it has been inserted or it is not been inserted. Okay, that can be one reflection you can say, right? So the return type you can mention like how many row you are inserting, okay, or else you can also mention boolean, true or false, okay, inserted, not inserted. So choice is yours, whatever the way you want to do, right? So obviously you are recording one record, so if you want you can also say boolean, not an issue. Okay, save. Now if you are saving, now do we enter the data in this particular part? No, we are entering the data in this particular part in the main function. We may create scanner class and we may ask the user to enter employee ID, name, mobile number, salary, all these details we can ask, and it is going to send to this particular method for saving purpose. Okay, now if that is the case, okay, if that is the case, then you should have one argument which is carrying that employee information, correct? Okay, so that is nothing but employee EMP, right? Okay, and obviously it's going to return boolean value, so boolean flag equals to false. Okay, and return flag. Okay, same thing you are going to repeat. Okay, I'm just copy and paste this particular thing, and I'm going to modify the code. So obviously here there is no fetching of data, so no result set is required. Okay, and here this particular thing is going to change. Okay, rest other thing, if you see, this one is not required, and also this one is going to modify. Okay, so this line is going to modify, right? Okay, now what you are going to write over here? So obviously the insert statement. Okay, so I can write something like emp, okay, some value and insert. So that is going to give me or generate me the query, and I can update this query so that there will be no mistake. Okay, while typing you may make some kind of mistake, so I can use this particular way so that there will be less chance of making any mistakes. Okay, so string SQL equals to this one. Okay, and here I don't need test. This single quote kind of thing I can remove. Okay, and here in prepared statement you are supposed to, wherever you are going to provide the value, at that place you are supposed to provide the question mark. Okay, so question mark indicate the in parameter, so this will be nothing but your in parameter. Okay, at runtime you are going to provide the value to the SQL query. Okay, right? So in the prepared statement I can pass SQL. Okay, now here it is, I can give something like int I, and this has to change to execute update. Okay, so before execute update, what you need to do is you need to set those in parameters. Okay, the question marks are nothing but your in parameter. You are supposed to provide the values for those question marks. Okay, so this will be the first position, second position, third position, fourth position. Okay, so how you are going to do that one is st dot set. Okay, now which kind of value it is? This is a string kind of value. So set string. What is the value? This is first. Okay, and what value you are providing to this is nothing but your employee ID, because this one is employee ID, one is employee ID, right? So similarly st dot set string, second in parameter, and what is the value? Employee dot get name. Okay, st dot set again string, that is your mobile is the third in parameter, and employee dot get mobile. st dot set integer over here, because here it is salary. Okay, so that is your fourth index, okay, fourth position, and employee dot get salary. Okay, you have set all in parameters over here and execute update. Got the point? Okay, now this particular thing is done. Now the flag variable has to be changed. So when it will be changed? If it is successful. If it is successful, flag will be true. If it is unsuccessful, the flag is false. Okay, and by default it is false. So only you have to tell whether it is successful. If it is successful, make it true. Okay, so how you can do? So that is nothing but if I is greater than 0. Okay, so basically it will return 1. So you can mention greater than 0, or you can mention if I is equals to double equals to 1. That even you can write. Okay, if that is the case, then flag equals to true. Right? Okay, so let us test this particular thing. Okay, so DAO dot save. Okay, now you need a employee object. Okay, because it's required a employee object. So new employee. Okay, and I can provide the value to it. Okay, so that is your EMP 0003. Then maybe Rahim. Okay, maybe some mobile number and some salary. Okay, now this is obviously going to give me error because we do not have constructor. Yeah, this should be number. Okay, so I can go back and I can generate the constructors. Okay, so generate default constructor and then generate parameterized constructor. Okay, fine. Now you can see the error has gone. Now if I execute and if this record is displayed, that means the record is available. And also here if I execute, it will also display that one. Correct? Yes or no? Okay, so let me execute. Now you can see 2 is there, 1 is there, and also 3 is there. So that means it is successfully inserted. Now you can also verify from the database side that whether the value is inserted or not. Now value is inserted. Got the point? Okay. Similar way you can test many other things. Okay. If you want to test, like you are trying to retrieve single record, suppose, what you need to do? Simple thing. Okay. go to your DAO. You have already written one method called save. One is get all employee. Okay. Now you want a method which is retrieving single record. Now if it is single record, then obviously the return type should not be list. It should be employee, because you are returning one employee object. Are you getting my point? Here you can change the employee the method name, and the method name you can select get emp by id, employee id. Now if you are retrieving on the base of employee id, that means the employee id should be available to you. Yes or no? It should be available to you. So what you can do is you can simply go for string emp id. Correct? Right? Now here you require this one, but you do not require this one. You can remove this. Okay. Now here you require a change. What is the change? Select start from employee. You have to provide the where clause, where emp underscore id equals to question mark, because now you are providing the value. So question mark. Wherever you are providing value, put question mark in case of prepared statement. So that is a concept of statement. When it is you are going to use statement, you are going to provide the value. That is the difference between prepared statement and statement. And the more powerful is prepared statement. Okay, so that's why from the beginning I didn't start with statement, I start with prepared statement. Okay, right? Now execute query. Before execute query, you have to set the in parameter. Okay, so st.set string 1 and employee id. Okay, now it is a single record. If there is a record, there is a single record. Okay, so instead of while, I can use if statement. Okay, now here I am creating this particular thing, but here I am going to return that particular thing. So employee equals to null, because I am going to return this employee object. Single object I am going to return. So it should be outside of that one, declaration. Okay, right? And obviously I don't need to add in the list part. Okay, the rest other codes are same, no change. Only thing is here it should be emp. Okay, now go to your program. You want to test, fine. So I can go for a new record. Okay, or I can comment this particular thing. Okay, and the name I am going to give okay, I am retrieving all records, as well as I am going to retrieve the single object. So get employee by id, and I am going to provide the employee id emp 0002. Okay, 0002. Now let us test this particular thing. Okay, so it is showing 0002 is not available because it is returning null. So here it is, one mistake is 0002. Okay, now if you correct this particular thing and here if you try to run, then it will be a error because 40004 is already exist. Okay. Now you can see you are able to retry single object. So this is somewhat the JDBC program, and mainly if you try to see, it's very simple. It's a repetition of code. Okay, you just need to know what is the approach. If you know what is the approach, writing of retrieving from the record is exactly same. Only fields are going to change. Only table names are going to change. Rest other codes are same. No changes. Okay, it is as easy as it is visible. You should have only need to practice. Okay, thank you.